All right, Aquarius, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is going to be for November 16th to the 22nd. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology, very different from mainstream astrology, which you can find more about down in the description. All right, so Aquarius, more shifts this week. It's been a very impactful past couple months, and this is certainly no exception. Saturn, your ruler, squares up to Neptune, who's been in your first house, within 1 degree this week, and it all starts here around Tuesday and Wednesday. Mostly on Wednesday when Neptune goes direct in that first house. So usually with this, Neptune is that unfoldment, the disillusionment sort of lifts, and we're able to see much clearer now in terms of your goals, your drives, your ambitions. Now, it's still a very gray area. It's still very foggy because Neptune is still in that first house, but it becomes a little bit more externalized, a little bit more easier to manage in terms of perhaps you're seeing more reality involving that. So the reality is really hitting hard with Saturn squaring up to Neptune. So it's if you've had any visions, any dreams that you've been working on over the past roughly 5 years involving goals, involving yourself, your self-image, where you're headed, things like that, while it's been confusing perhaps if we've been trying to figure it out, Saturn here says, okay, there's a test. Are these visions, are these dreams practical? Are they real? Can they be implemented in a real way? And that's essentially what this transit's about. It's going on all the way through December 5th, and aspecting that first house could be quite impactful. Now, it's impacting two different areas. One is that first house of you and your goals and drives, which is all about going with the flow, and now you can ground that. But at the same time, because it is your ruler, Neptune squaring up to that Saturn does mean that it's important for you to sort of go with the flow. Maybe get that rest, that alone time, that spiritual time out, which is so important because there's been a lot of focus lately on building your career. There's been a lot of the Saturn in your 10th house energy of whether it's your career, your legacy, your big picture plans, working hard at that now, taking it seriously. At least that's a great way of working with this transit. So in the process, while it is about taking it seriously, it's also being guided, right? Intuitively, going with the flow, listening to those goals of yours or those dreams of yours and implementing it in that grounded sense. So you can see it's working with it in tandem. It's where the reality meets the vision, the reality meets the dream, and it can be actualized in the long term, slow and steady, the more willing we are to work with it, which is essentially what the square represents. So that's going to be Wednesday onward mostly, and then around Tuesday, Mercury does combust with the Sun. Mercury goes behind the Sun in that 9th house, so you could be quite passionate, involving maybe speaking, communicating like wisdom, maybe through travel, through adventure, anything overseas, over the internet, something like that. Very passionate about that around Tuesday. And just bring extra attention to the communication, to the correspondence with anything involving that with Mercury behind the Sun, because the Sun does engulf the Mercury energy there. So that's going to be the early part of the week. And then around Friday, we do have some more important aspects. Mercury does sextile up to the North Node, giving more positive support towards the 8th house, which is about getting deeper in relationships, unveiling the truth, sharing the truth, things like that. And here also, Venus is going to be squaring up to Pluto around Friday. So here is more of a transformative energy involved. And the key is to have non-attachment. So with beginnings, endings, with life and death, with all these changes that I think have been unfolding over the past 2 years, or at least open for you to connect to over the past 2 years, there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of motivation to be had to figuring out the truth, to sharing it, as well as enjoying it. Now there's change there. Now there's non-attachment, which is so important there. So the key with this, especially because Venus rules your 4th house and your 9th house, is to be open to change when it comes to what you feel about things, when it comes to the ebb and flows, the beginnings, endings, as well as your philosophy. Have non-attachment with that. Be willing to change, because that's essentially what Pluto does. And when we're open to change, then we sort of work in tandem with that. And as you can see, this is joining that T-square between your primary ruler Uranus, well, modern day ruler, and Pluto, which have been squaring each other. So activating that, keeping things very balanced, especially next week, involving the deeper aspects of life with the material stuff, which I'll talk more about next week. But joining that T-square nonetheless, which has been about you having that power and change in the community or organizational stuff, as well as finding the freedom and liberation to pursue your values in life and your sense of self-worth. So the key with this is really going to be emphasizing the Pluto this week. So they're the interactions, maybe in a deep way. All that can be very powerful. So through that non-attachment, it can make it very meaningful, very emotionally meaningful, and perhaps some good wisdom to learn in the process. So that's going to be around Friday, then Saturday and Sunday over the weekend. We do have the Sun sextiling up to that North Node. Again, more focused, positive energy towards the deeper aspects of life. And then Mars sextiles up to Saturn going into next week. Very nice for you because it's your ruler. So if you've been noticing more of that lowering of energies last week and maybe this week with the square up to Neptune, it's still kind of there, but there is effort. And it's almost like the energies kind of die down enough for you to be able to manage it, to, make it and work with it, because Mars and Saturn is about that slow and steady approach to things. And for you, it could be a lot of motivation, or at least opportunity to bring in that energy into the career front, into the big picture, and also have that patience, have that mature approach to the depths of life, which are so important. But the emphasis is certainly Saturn squaring up to Neptune, continued unfoldment, continued going with the flow when it comes to your life path energies and who you are, and grounding that one step at a time and actualizing the things that you would consider a vision or ideal for you right now at the moment. So Aquarius, have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.